we're here with our mascot, the Story Dude. So please, like the video, subscribe to Story Dude, and let's get into the stories.
Today I fucked up by choosing my girlfriend over my job. I'll try to keep this as brief as possible, and hopefully this format's okay because I'm on mobile. This is a two-part fuck up, one that happened last week and the second part today. So, as the title says, I fucked up by picking my girlfriend, we'll call her Maria, over my job. Maria and I have been working together for a couple years now, but she was in a relationship the whole time up until a few months ago. She was dating a guy, we'll call him Hank, who is one of the longest tenured employees at our job, is extremely well liked and is a really good dude, though I wouldn't say he and I were super close by any means. Maria and I run in similar social circles, so we are around each other a lot both inside and outside of work, and one thing led to another and we started dating. We immediately told Hank since we all worked together, and he didn't seem to care, but we made it a point to keep it quiet around the office to not start anything. That is, until last week, when Maria and I were spotted out together and news made it back to the office. Our boss found out, and he was livid. He called me into his office and made a huge deal about me dating a made man's girl and how I'm a scumbag and a backstabber and all this. I tried to explain myself, admittedly didn't do a good job because I'm an idiot, and he wasn't having it. He tried to get me to admit what I was doing was wrong and that I made a mistake, but I wouldn't do it, and doubled down on my commitment to my girl. This fucked me, because the boss started telling me my contract was up for renewal in February and that I wouldn't be renewed now. He said other things to cover his ass, like I'm not producing any value for the company anyways, and that technically I'm not getting fired, I'll just expire my current contract and wouldn't get picked up again. So, essentially, picking my girlfriend has cost me my job. That sucked, until today, when Maria decided she didn't want to be with me anymore. She told me dating me was a mistake, that I was a rebound for her after she got out of a long relationship, that she would rather live a single life as she travels the country for her role at our company. She also threw some personal shots at me disguised as advice to find a better girl, like, shave my head, I have long hair but am balding on top, and quit wearing a hat all the time, hit the gym, I'm a frail guy, and find something I'm good at for work. Think this was an echoing of my convo with my boss, who said I have no real talent. So, I really fucked up. Too long did not read. I fucked up by picking my girlfriend over my job, got canned, and then dumped. Sounds like she chose her job over you. I'm sure the boss gave her a similar speech. Either way, start looking for a better job now. Good luck. The boss absolutely got to the girl and threatened her. My main question is, why is this boss guy going out of his way to back Hank? Are they related? Seems a little sus. Marty Mush, I got bad news for you. It was always Team Hank. You can have a pretty comfortable 6-month period if they're not going to renew your contract. Might be time to coast while you look for a new job. They're clearly not going to do you any favors, so why do any for them? Never date a coworker. Boss sounds like a twat. What happens outside of work is literally not his business unless it impacts your work. It was dumb to date a coworker whose ex is also a coworker though. Today I fucked up giving my husband roadhead. TLDR at bottom. I wasn't going to make this into a throwaway account, but my husband and best friend convinced me, so here we are. This particular foo happened back in February 2020. I was trying to think up something fun and romantic for Valentine's Day. My husband and I have a great sex life, even with young kids, but I've never had great game in the BJ department. I'm happy enough to go down there, but I've never let him finish in my mouth. Once a friend described swallowing as akin to swallowing snot, and I've never gotten that image out of my head. So I decided, this was the year. I was going to man up and swallow the gravy. After a few painful, incognito Google searches on how to swallow semen that yielded disappointing results, I finally figured it out. I had the perfect solution. I was going to give him roadhead. That way, I had to swallow, because I had no other option. I told him about my plan, and we agreed that this was definitely the best way. The big night came. My mom got to our house to watch the kids. I had 3 twisted teas and a handful of my kids' leftover goldfish to settle my nerves. I had outfitted our van into an oral shaggin' wagon, complete with flavored lube and a towel. I was ready. He was going to get the best blowjay of his life. We head down a dark country road and I get started. I bust out every trick that I had read about in Cosmo in my 20s. I feel like an empowered sex goddess, that is, until he grabbed my hair and moaned that he was about to come. At that moment, I panicked and tried to pull back, but it was too late. As he came, I promptly threw everything up into his lap, then burst into tears. Bless his sweet heart, he didn't even realize at first. He kept saying, "Don't apologize baby, that was amazing. It feels so warm. So amazing." Then, with some creeping concern, "Wait. Why is it chunky? Why do I feel chunks? Did you throw up on me?" At this point we both start laughing uncontrollably on the side of the road while he mopped up his crotch with a towel. We then realized that he couldn't very well go to dinner without pants, so we drove back to the house. I then had to sneak into my own home, past my mother and children, to get my husband puke-free pants for our date. We decided that we weren't hungry anymore and spent the rest of our date night blinking at each other over our Starbucks wondering what the hell just happened. TLDR. I tried to give my husband roadhead and I barfed on him instead. He mopped up his crotch. Crotch Mopper is a great name for a grunge band. And on that night, a fetish was born. Hey, you're so good at head he didn't even notice you barfed on him. You sex goddess, you. As someone who has been in your husband's situation, it really isn't that big of a deal. The risk comes with the territory, and it sounds like he reacted really well, and if nothing else, you got a nice indication that you've got yourself a really good man. Maybe next time tell him to do an orange juice diet. Lol at the blinking at each other at the end. Was half hoping that while giving him roadhead, that he lost control of the car and crash into a suspicious military vehicle that is hauling a giant metal box. The convoy also being escorted by other military vehicles. Today I fucked up when I mentioned my mom's tattoo. Last night my uncle showed up at the house unannounced. I, 17 male, informed him that my mom and dad were out for the evening. I could tell my uncle had been drinking and seemed kind of confused about what to say or do next, so I invited him in and said I was gonna call my parents to find out how far they are. My uncle advised me to leave my parents in peace and asked if I wanted to keep him company instead. I sat down. Right off the bat my uncle did the "I remember when I was your age" routine, albeit the drunk version. He mentioned that he used to date my mom before my dad stole her from him. I kind of knew the story, but what I found out for the first time was that my uncle had my mom's name tattooed on his scalp. He showed me by spreading his hair. Afterwards, he said my mom has his name tattooed in the same spot on her scalp. My uncle and I spoke about random shit for another hour or so before he decided to leave. When my parents eventually came home I did not waste any fucking time telling my mom that I knew she had a tattoo thanks to my drunk uncle. I wanted to see her reaction and hear her response, especially after she's made it very clear over the years that she would never approve of me getting a tattoo because it's a sin according to her. Little did I know that my dad, who shared my mom's opinion about tattoos, had no idea that my mom had a tattoo, let alone a tattoo of his brother's name. My mom's first reaction was to look at my dad's reaction, which is when I realized I might have fucked up. My dad asked my mom if the tattoo was inside her bottom or something. My mom said no, it was on her head. My dad shook his head and asked my mom how big the tattoo was. My mom didn't really answer that question directly, she just said, "You know your brother's name has a lot of fucking letters." There was obvious tension between the two of them, which I took as my cue to exit that conversation and return to my room. I could hear my mom and dad argue throughout the night. My dad was accusing my mom of being irresponsible when she was with his brother all those years ago, and now she's making both of them look like hypocrites in front of me. My mom returned fire and said my dad needs to stop pretending to be the good guy when they both knew he was just as bad as his brother was back then, if not worse. I didn't want to hear any more, so I put on my headphones and listened to music until I fell asleep. The tension between my mom and dad continued this morning. No one said a word. I'm at school at the moment, wishing I never opened my mouth about the tattoo. Doctor, my uncle drunkenly told me that my mom tattooed his name on her scalp when they were young. I confronted my mom about the tattoo in front of my dad and realized my dad knew nothing about the tattoo, and now my parents are fighting. Moral of the story, don't get a tattoo of someone's name. This is some soap opera level shit right here. But please don't think of it as your fuck up. They made the choices that led to this, you only uncovered the inevitable. This was bound to happen, but somehow it took this long. Your uncle probably waned to pour some gasoline on the fire and used you as the catalyst. People do dumb things, but it's so hypocritical to make up such a cover story. Even go so far to label it as a sin for you guys. Your uncle and mother, less so father, shit the bed big time. Let them sit in it. Not your fuck-up buddy. I read it as mom used to date her own brother. Had to read much more to find out it was dad's brother. Story was a bit different then. My dad asked my mom if the tattoo was inside her bottom or something. He's never been there? It could have been worse. She could have got it done after she married your dad. Today I fucked up by bringing a dead animal across international borders. Recently I flew from the US back to Canada after spending a month with my partner. When I was sitting in the airport in Boston, I noticed a bad smell, and it seemed like it might have been coming from my backpack. Keep in mind that I was at my gate at this point, which means I'd gone through customs, security already, complete with my bags going through the X-ray machine. I texted my partner about it and he said there have been some mice in his and his roommate's place, so I should check my bag for mouse poop. I didn't have much time before boarding, so I said I'd check when I landed in Toronto. I was already nervous that I might have poop in my bag, with all my clothes and medications. In Toronto I couldn't see a bathroom, so I went through security there, too, and got to my next gate before going into a bathroom and inspecting my bag. Fortunately, there wasn't any mouse poop in it. Unfortunately, what was inside was a whole dead mouse. I accidentally smuggled a dead animal across the US-Canada border by air. I went through multiple security checkpoints, including X-ray, and no one noticed. And to the janitor that opens up the used sanitary items box in the bathroom stall and finds a dead mouse wrapped in toilet paper, I am so sorry. I had no options. Too long did not read. A mouse died in my backpack and I unknowingly brought it across international borders and no one stopped me. Did the X-ray guy give you a wink and a knowing look when your bag went through? If you're patient zero for the plague in Toronto, please update this thread. X-ray are not designed to flag animals. Their purpose is to flag metal and explosives threats. Hey, look at the little rat stuffy, TSA, probably. I found a bone on the beach that I cleaned, brought it onto the plane back home. I think it's a seal tailbone. I can get touched inappropriately for wearing the wrong bra but can bring bones on a plane, Sue, Probably not the first time the janitor has seen a mouse tampon. Airports are wild.